Incorporated in the amount of $362,570 with a not-to-exceed limit of $454,000, which includes the contingency, of course. Mr. Schmidt on number 4. Hi.
Good morning. Thank you, President James, Commissioners, Department representatives, Dr. Campos, Mr. Jordan. My name is Patrick Schmidt with the Geotechnical Engineering Division of the Bureau of Engineering, and I am here to speak on behalf of the Verdugo Crestline project. As you know, the Bureau of Engineering administers the emergency pre-qualified on-call geotechnical structural contractors list. This list is used to perform emergency and urgent necessity work to benefit the city public right-of-ways. On February 28, 2014, the Board of Public Works approved a list of 7 pre-qualified contractors. These contracts were executed on May 12, 2014, have a 5-year duration, and expire on May 11, 2019. The Verdugo Crestline Drive Slope Repair Project repairs an unpaid portion of Verdugo Crestline Drive in Council District 7. The scope of work will include improvement in the cross drainage, remedial grading on the upslope portion, repair of the slopes to provide more lateral support, repair of 2 washouts, and the installation of a new storm drain with inlet and outlet structures. On February 19th, 2019, the project was bid through our on-call emergency contractors list. The bids were sent to all 7, advertised to all 7 pre-qualified contractors. On March 26th, we received 2 bids. The Board of Public Works received 2 bids from John S. Meek was the lowest bidder. As previously stated, the current pre-qualified on-call contractors list expires on May 11th. This project has a construction duration of 120 calendar days, and due to this fact, we're requesting that an independent contract number be issued for this project. Funding for the project in the amount of $454,000 comes from Special Gas Tax Street Improvement Fund and some Major M funds. I therefore request that the board execute a construction order with John X. Meek in the amount of $570,000 with a not-to-exceed limit of $454,000, including contingency, and further move that a separate contract number be issued for this project. With that, I conclude my report and I'm available for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Schmidt. The motion says that the bid sheet is attached, the bid
Correct.
Summary sheet. Could you hand it to Dr. Campos, because it's not attached to either my packet, my electronic packet or my paper packet. Commissioner Cabello.
Okay, I'll make a note of that and talk to staff.
Thank you, President James. Mr. Schmidt, I have no problem with this request whatsoever, but the one issue I do have, and this happens more often than I prefer, especially with BOE, is that you come to the board with a motion as opposed to a board report. Can you tell me what the emergency and the rush is that deemed a motion necessary as opposed to a board report?
The reason we prefer the board motions is generally they take less time to prepare. So they get the projects awarded quicker. Through this list, we award emergency and urgent necessity work, so it's been declared either an emergency or urgent necessity. So we try to move forward quicker by awarding it through a board motion.
I think the board would prefer some more context, and that comes with the board report. And though I understand the nature of an emergency, I think there might be a little bit more time and a little planning in advance that BOE can do to give us a little bit more information, including things like the bid sheet.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything further? Your bid sheet's coming back to you, Mr. Schmidt.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 4, seconded by Commissioners Caloza and Garcia. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 4. Any issue sending number 4 forthwith? We'll send number 4 forthwith. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Agenda item, actually, before we go to number 5, we have one more voting item. Our meeting minutes from the meeting of Friday, March 22nd, 2019, seconded by Commissioner Cabello. Any objection to the approval of those minutes? No objection. Those meeting minutes will be approved. Dr. Campos, we cleared the desk on the voting items, correct?
Yes, you have.
That brings us to you for our Public Works Trust Fund quarterly update. I've got Dr. Campos and Jason Valencia, both on my sheet. And I have a summary sheet.
Thank you, Mr. President and Commissioners. It's a pleasure to be before you. I'm going to present from my seat here, and I'm going to co-present with Mr. Jason Valencia, who is our Public Works Trust Fund manager that joined our team about 6 months ago, dedicated to the Public Works Trust Fund. Although he's been with the Board of Public Works for several years, we did and were successful in getting City Council to adopt and concur with our recommendations to have a dedicated staff that would help us manage this Public Works Trust Fund. Just to give you a brief summary, the Public Works Trust Fund works like an escrow account. It's a trust account on behalf of depositors. We receive about anywhere from $30 to $40 million every year in deposits that are for the benefit of the public good, if you will, for construction projects. There are other deposits in the Public Works Trust Fund that are fee-related or surcharge-related, but that only represents less than 5% of the entire fund. So 95% of most of the monies that are coming into the Public Works Trust Fund are deposit monies or guarantee deposit monies that are there to guarantee the completion of a construction project. We do have approximately 12,000 deposits that we're looking at. The biggest, or that we manage, the biggest project that we've been endeavoring over the last year and a half has been the Nexus study, which we presented before the board, and I won't go over that report again, but pretty much it allowed us to look at 1 out of 29 different deposit accounts that we have on file. This is the special projects account, which approximately has, I believe it's about $12 million that's in the account now. The Nexus study allowed us to start disbursement of about $5.9 million, and we will provide you an update in the next few minutes of where we are with the Nexus study. So with that, I'm going to transfer it over to Jason, who will provide you an overview of where we are in terms of the finances, what accounts, the balances that we have in each account, and then also provide you an overview of our loans, which is something that we've been closely monitoring over the last year.
Okay, and before Mr. Valencia begins, I'll just, for clarification, confirm, Dr. Campos, looking at the update sheet, the 142, what looks like 142,000, it's in thousands, so that's really 142 million, correct? And that is, before Mr. Valencia starts his summary, that, just anecdotally, from your quarterly reports over the years that you've been here, it looks like we're seeing a fairly steady increase in the amount of money that's in the Public Works Trust Fund. The fund balance is going up, not the other way around, correct?
For the last 5 years, it has been increasing steadily, anywhere from $6 to about $12 million per year. I think this year, now that we have a dedicated fund manager, we are going to try to curtail that curve instead of being 6 to 12 million, possibly a couple $1 million only. But the goal is to flatline it and then eventually start going the other direction, where the balance starts going down. And so ultimately, that's our goal. And I believe that having a dedicated staffer that's actively managing the fund and interacting with the bureaus, the collectors, the city attorney's office, the CAO's office, along with our Office of Accounting, we're trying to debottleneck and put that money to good use and go back and reinvest in infrastructure, public infrastructure. Just to give you an idea as to where we were as of June 2018, we were about 131.9 million. The report before you presents a number of 142.1 million. That's as of November 30th, 2018. So with that, I'll pass the baton over to Mr. Valencia.
Well, it is my goal before I leave, whenever that may be, my days on the Board of Public Works, that we will be able to say that the balance in the fund has started going down because we're starting to put the money back into the community. But I recognize it's taken some time to get there.
That is my goal as well. I think this year, if we can flatline it, that would be great, and then next year we can start going down. But anything to curtail that upward slope, that's exactly our goal as well.
I'm safe. I think I'll make it. Mr. Valencia, you're up, sir.
All righty. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, commissioners and bureau reps. My name is Jason Valencia with the Board of Public Works. In regards to the Public Works Trust Fund, as of November 30th, 2018, the latest reconciled data we have, there are 35 revenue source accounts in the Public Works Trust Fund and about 10 or so, right, Fernando, appropriation accounts?
Correct.
The revenue source accounts consist of, in total, about $142 million, and like it was mentioned earlier, it is increasing as the years go on. And the 5 primary accounts, they comprise 82% of the total balance are the general improvement guarantee deposits, B permits, special projects, excavation, special work order deposits, and vacation work order deposits. In total, as of today, we have, I believe it's 12 loans, but as of November 30th, we're reporting 11 loans out to various departments, totaling about $26 million. That's about 18.42% of the total balance in the Public Works Trust Fund. And when it comes to the loans, what we're doing is we're actively communicating and working with the bureaus and departments to get the loans paid back as soon as possible. Some of them maybe sometimes forget that they have the money and forget to pay us, so we kind of got to give them a little kind reminder. So we're working on that, trying to curtail that and bring some money back into the fund so we can fund other projects that are in the queue as well. Pretty much it.
A couple of quick questions. Regarding the refunds to depositors, is that right now it's 2.3 million since the last report? Is that pretty consistent with what we're seeing in prior reports, or are we kind of seeing peaks and valleys there?
There's peaks and valleys. I think we have brought that balance down. It was approximately $10.1 million back in June 2018. We brought that down to about $2.3 million. Just to give you a little bit of context, one of the challenges that we've had in the Public Works Trust Fund, probably for a good 4 or 5 years, is that we keep losing our staffer in the accounting staff position. One of the main reasons that we heard 4 out of 5 vacancies that we lost over the last 4 years is because they're moving on because of promotional opportunities. So after 3 years working with the CAO's office, we were able to successfully gain their support and approval to upgrade the position from a senior accountant 1 to a senior accountant 2. Just most recently in October, we lost the last person. We were able to hire someone new. That person was on board for 2 months and then just recently promoted to DWP as well for more money. So promoted. So again, we've lost all 5 individuals because of promotions. We're hoping now with the next new budget that's going to come before the council in the next couple of weeks, that position or that budget does propose the upgrade that we've been asking for the last 3 years. We're hoping that we'll be able to retain the individual a little longer. This is a complex fund. Again, $142 million. It's been a fund that's been with us since the 1940s. It's not going anywhere. We just need dedicated staff behind this. And I think we're going to try to curtail and try to keep our individuals there a little longer. But to answer your question, President James, the refunds to depositors have gone down, but there's ebbs and flows. There's ups and downs. I think right now the decrease from the 10 million to the 2 million was because we had that individual there for 2-3 months, and then we just recently lost that person. Good news is that we have hired someone new. That person will start next week, I believe, May 13th, so in about a week and a half. So we will start looking at getting those refunds back to the depositors as quickly as possible.
Okay, and then a couple of questions on the loan receivables, if I might, gentlemen. I was involved in the communications back and forth with the CAO's office regarding the $10 million loan on the seismic bridge improvement program, so I'm aware of the loan repayment obligations of that office. So I'm not going to ask about that. But are there any other, for example, the North Atwater multimodal bridge, are there any other projects here that we expect some reimbursements from state-funded, federally funded projects that will recycle back into loan receivables for you?
Excellent question. I'll let Mr. Valencia answer that question for you. I think in his presentation, he's done a lot more than what he has indicated to this board in terms of our efforts to collect this money. In fact, over the last 6 months, we have sent out notification letters to the borrowers asking them for status updates. We were extremely successful with this last round of collection efforts. In total, we were able to collect approximately $4.4 million. That's going to come back to the board or to the Public Works Trust Fund on or before June 30th. And then in addition to that, we had Recreation and Parks make a down payment of $1.5 million for the Runyon Canyon project. So in total, about $5.9 million. And all that effort really is because we have a dedicated staff. Mr. Valencia has been aggressively going out and asking in a friendly way to collect the monies coming back to the Public Works Trust Fund. So the main goal for us is just getting the money back to us so that we can reinvest, or that we can reinvest into other projects, or to have the board approve other loans that can then reinvest into other projects.
Well, and that, to your point, and then you, Jason, keep my question in mind, but you have, Dr. Campos, because I hear in the building that they are aware that we now have staff that are working on this, and people tell me and squeeze my arm in the hall and say, hey, we know you guys are wanting some of your loan money back, and we intend on doing that. But before this board, before we sat in this administration, there was nobody doing that work, and none of those loans were being tended to, and just because there wasn't staffing to do it. And now we're getting those loan revenues back. And as you mentioned, the reason that's important is we have other public works projects that the bureaus want to do and council offices want to do and the mayor's office wants to do that they want to be able to use the fund too. And so when we're close to our loan ceiling, we need to draw the loan ceiling or the amount loaned out down so that we have some loanable funds so the other folks can benefit too.
And Mr. Valencia can answer your question that you posed, Mr. President, and then also he can describe a little bit about what we've been doing in terms of the cash flow model. So we are actually doing projections now for the first time, and we're looking at a 5-year projection. So instead of doing more retroactive or regressive type of analysis, we're now doing proactive analysis. We're now doing forecasting. What is the Public Works Trust Fund going to look like in the next year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years is where I'm going right now. So we are building a model. We have our version 1.0, if you will. It's still in infancy stages. We're still developing that model, but we now have a sneak peek of what 5 years will look like in the next couple of years.
Okay.
So to answer your question, without recalling the exact number, most of these loans are going to be reimbursed from federal and state grants.
Yep.
And when we sent out loan status update letters to the various borrowers asking for a status on repayment and reimbursement from the federal and state government, they have committed to us via the response to us, within the next 1 to 2 years, we should be getting about $13 million in repayment. So this 26, all things static, this 26 million should go down to, whatever, what is that, 10 million or so?
That's significant.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're going to notice a decrease by the end of this year. At least I'm expecting the decrease of about $5.9 million from this $26 million. So we'll get close to about $19 million on or by June 30th. In addition to that, you had a question regarding the North Atwater Multimodal Bridge project. That's about $6.9 million. We are committed to have a annual repayment of approximately $800,000 or $900,000, and City Council has actually committed to reimburse us through the general fund or through other special funds. So that is actually in the process now. So if the transaction is treated and recorded into our systems on or before June 30th, we may even see close to $7 million in repayments.
Okay. The only thing I would ask for the next, in whichever quarter a loan repayment comes in before your next quarterly report. Are you doing these quarterly or?
These are semi-annual. In fact, we actually have the fiscal year 17-18 annual report that's going to come before this board within the next week or two. We are trying to synchronize that annual report to go with another board report request for a new loan that we're working with the Bureau of Street Lighting. So again, with Mr. Valencia and Street Lighting, they've been working on a potential significant loan that's going to come before you. It's not before you now, but it's going to be in the multi-millions of dollars. So it's a big request. However, I believe that we'll be able to support that request when it's ready. So that's coming before your board in the next, I would say, 2 weeks.
Okay. But so for the next report, semi-annual report, if we have any of those loan revenues back, just create an additional category on the summary sheet of loan receivables,
Paid.
if you will. Yeah. So that we can kind of keep track of this chart of which of these loans are starting to come back.
Okay.
Okay? Great, thank you. Any other questions? The oral report will be received. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
Dr. Campos, have we cleared the desk?
Yes, you have.
Okay, then we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.